This is Jamie with BarEye. In this video, we're going to show you how to do counts into the BarEye inventory software so you can count in half the time and weigh those open bottles to the 1/10 of an ounce. So at this point, you want to have your counting map fully set up, and also a reminder, we want to focus on alcohol and energy drinks, so just count beer, liquor, wine, and energy drinks, not bar consumables. When you're ready to start your count on the device version, click Count Zones. We always recommend numbering or naming the counts. And I'm going to go ahead and deselect, so we'll just do a test count here. So click, go to count page. In terms of navigation, you can jump around the zones. You can click this button here to move to the next zone, and then click this button here to move backwards. Obviously on the right is where we enter our counts. Product list is down the middle here. Those of you on a Windows PC, you can look up keyboard shortcuts to save you further time. And so with the scale turned on a flat surface, go ahead and click the name of the brand. I've got a cubit scale. You'll see a confirmation message. And then the good news, to weigh your open partial bottles, you simply place them on the scale. Software is going to do the work, record the weight, move the cursor down, place the next bottle on. You can use the time the scale is weighing to pick up the next bottle whilst putting away the bottle you just weighed. So that's as quick as that. You can weigh a bottle every about 2 seconds. Okay, so moving on to full items. So pretending here we're on a whiskey shelf. If you've got a touchscreen device, you can just hit 1, enter count on the right here. If you're counting a case, you can say 1, enter case, and the software will know how many are in that case. And of course, you also can count 3 bottles. You don't need a new line for each one. So notice now I've counted 16 bottles. So after I count 2 more, that's 18, 1 more is 19. When I've counted the last one, rather than jump to the next zone, you want to hit finish here. And humans are prone to errors, so that's why we do zone count. So after you've counted the individual bottles, normally from left to right, go back and count the total bottles on the shelf. If I get confused and say there's 17, the software will call me out and say, no, you counted 19. So you go back, figure out where you made the error, and then hit finish. And when you hit 19, it knows that's correct and it will move you to the next zone. That's a really important way that we reduce errors, which waste time and reduce confidence results. So moving on to kegs now. In most cases for kegs, you can either count 2 full kegs, or if this is a partial keg, which weighed, say, 125 pounds, you would enter weight pounds, and it will calculate that that's about 80% full. For those of you who are using a keg stick, you also can say, for instance, 6 gallons, and it will do the math. And then one final piece is, if your kegs are arranged in such a way where the full kegs are next door or underneath the tapped kegs, go ahead and put 2 lines into your counting map. So on one of the lines, you'll enter the full keg counts, and on the second line, you can enter those weights. And so you have 2 lines there. Again, keg zones are a great place to do your zone counts. So click finish, enter my zone count. This one's 6. Anyway, continuing through there. For bottled beer, you'll notice that, of course, you can count 1, enter count. If you need to overwrite it because you did it wrong, that was meant to be 11, you can do this. Also notice the software auto senses these are bottles of beer, and as well as entering count, you can also enter 6-pack counts and case counts. So if I had 2 6-packs, it will add up to 12. Quick note here, if you're counting in storage areas and you have full cases with 6-packs on top, go ahead and put 2 lines into the map so that you don't have to do math. So if I had 7 cases and 3 6-packs, the math on that's complicated. If I put 2 lines in, I can just go 7 cases, 3 6-packs, much simpler. Bottled beer zones are typically tough to do formal zone counts, so recommend just after you've counted the zone, go back to the top and just do a quick visual scan through to make sure your counts are accurate. It's difficult to add up exact counts to do your zone counts. You can just click through that. Similarly, here I am on wine, pretending I'm at a wine cooler. In a wine cooler, often you've got a full bottle in front, so I can weigh that item. My scale is timed out here. Very easy for me just to reconnect it. If you have an issue as I'm having here, we can power cycle the scale. There we go, power cycling, fix that. So here I'd weigh my bottle of wine, and while I'm doing that I can enter a full bottle. And so again I'm going to weigh my second bottle of wine, and the trick here is while it's weighing, if there's 3 bottles behind it, I can put the bottle on the scale, say 3 bottles, and then it ends the count. So you can kind of be entering the full bottle counts behind as the scale does its thing and weighs the next one. Finally, let's take a look at changing the map. So imagine I'm come here to a rail, speed rail, and the map says everything should be in this order and the products are in a different order. The first thing is, generally, we want to keep the map how things should be and change the order of products. So one thing is just to pull out all the bottles from the well, put them on the bar top, and then count them back into the order which the map says, which should be the correct order, and it saves you having to rescan each item. If you have minor changes, you can use the diamonds to drag the items, and you can take the nuclear option, select all, and delete and start from scratch. But in general, like I said, you want to keep the map how things should be and then add things as they are. When you were doing the setup, when you scanned each item, it added it to the bottom of the list. But sometimes now you're counting into a full map, you'll notice that you'll have a scenario where there's a new bottle which has been inserted into the map. And if the new bottle is in between this gin and this rum, I can simply scan the barcode and notice it will move the other item down and insert that item. So using the insert mode is also a good trick. And then finally, when we get to the end of our map, we count the very last item. Maybe there's 1 bottle here, say. We'll click finish and do our zone count. I want to show you this final step. So this is the last zone. So when I hit continue, I come to this summary screen. It is crucial that you come to this closeout screen and we hit finalize count. That's going to tell the software that this is a completed count. Device disconnected because it's closed down. But then you'll instantly see, if you go into our browser version and go to the summary reports and hit the products report, instantaneously you will have a list of how many items you counted, the total count. You can also scroll down and see a timeline view, and you can see line by line details of what you've counted, and you do have the ability to search by name for a particular item. So the advantage here is, as well as the counting being faster and more accurate, when you count or weigh that last bottle, all of that information is instantly available and can be exported to Excel, or we can do the analysis by comparing your sales to what was poured. But as said, counting directly in software has that benefit. You don't have to then manually transfer data from one system into another. Thank you for watching. And as always, if you'd like to see any other videos, just shoot us an email and let us know. Thank you.